For me, Malaysia was a real culinary awakening, and we met a Malay chef who holds true to his culinary traditions. I'm Thomas Robson, and this is Entree to Asia. Before heading off to Malaysia, it was suggested to me by some people that Kuala Lumpur was nothing more than a modern metropolis, shadowed by towers of glass, steel, and concrete. And while that's partially true, KL is an awesome sight, particularly at night. At ground level, however, at the base of these towers, modern Malaysians were having a nightly festival of down-home cooking. These serious traditionalists are not about to let their culinary history disappear. Serious Malay chefs work hard at attending to traditional details when they cook. One person we met by the name of Reduan is a very modern Malay chef, but he proudly preserves his culinary heritage. We're very lucky to be down in the kitchen at the Shangri-La Hotel in Kuala Lumpur, where one of the chefs, Reduan, is going to prepare for us a classic dish with a twist. We're going to have rendang. Now, rendang normally is made with beef, but today we're going to have it with chicken. So, Rendang Ayam, a big old pot and a little bit of oil. And a strong fire. How many people is this rendang going to feed?
This one?
Yeah.
Only for 10 person.
Okay, so we're making rendang for 10.
Okay, first, I'm going to put in the cinnamon stick.
Cinnamon sticks, yes.
Cardamom.
Some cardamom pods.
Star anise.
Star anise.
And clove.
And some cloves. I like how you work with it. You get the oil hot and then you turn the fire off. So that way nothing gets burned.
Yeah.
Is there a color or a smell you look for?
Aroma, yeah.
You wait for the aroma to be very obvious.
With shallot.
The red shallot onion, so popular throughout Southeast Asia.
Garlic.
Garlic.
Ginger.
Fresh ginger root.
Galangal.
Galangal root. Now that seems to be a very important ingredient throughout.
Galangal and lemongrass is the most important thing of making chicken rendang. And chili paste.
This is freshly ground red chili. It's wonderful in the markets here. You'll see enormous bags full of freshly ground red chili ready to use. Does that have the seeds in it as well?
No.
No seeds. I'm going to steal a little taste. Is it very hot?
You should try.
So I'll try it and find out just how hot it really is. It's actually quite reasonable and mild. The ground chili, the flesh of the chili, adds consistency to the sauce, so in a way this is thickened by a puree of chilies.
Put the chicken inside.
Now pieces of chicken. So we've got a lovely aromatic base, fresh ingredients, fried in a bit of oil. In goes the chicken.
Turmeric.
And turmeric. A couple of tablespoons at this point.
We're going to mix it with the second coconut milk.
Now, you'll show us a little bit later how first and second coconut milk is made, but just to give an idea right now, the second coconut milk is a second extraction of coconut milk from grated coconut. and it provides a perfect cooking medium because it's not too rich, it's not too oily.
You can see the gravy is already thick.
It's quite thick, isn't it?
Then put in the other coconut milk.
So you almost boiled away most of that other coconut milk. This then is the thickest part of the coconut milk. First extraction coconut milk. Now from this point, how long will it take to cook?
Around 40 minutes.
Of careful simmering.
But if you're using the boneless chicken, it only took us around 20 to 30 minutes.
But if you use boneless chicken, you won't get the same flavor, will you? One of the beauties of Asian cooking is that when you're cooking with chicken, is the bone is almost always left in. Some people find that surprising, perhaps a little bit annoying. But what's important to note is the bone has a lot of flavor and a lot of nutritive value to add to the dish. This is traditional method of preparing coconut milk. So just the white meat of the coconut is grated to make the milk. So add a little bit of water. Mixing and working it, and then squeezing it over a basket.
Now you can see him just pressing only with one hand, the thumb squeezing it. Because this is the traditional way of doing it. If you're doing it on both hands, your food can only last for a day.
So there you are, first extraction coconut milk. Looks like there's about 4 cups there. So with the second extraction, not as much milk. Again, not squeezing quite as hard. With the third extraction, would you still squeeze softly, or would you use both hands then?
The one we can use still one hand.
Great, so that's basically coconut milk making in a nutshell. So now the chicken rendang has been simmering for a good 40 minutes, and it's been stirred and carefully watched so it doesn't burn while it reduces. What's the next step, Reduan?
So we put in the fresh leaf, the turmeric leaf.
Freshly diced, or chiffonade rather, of turmeric leaves.
Some lime leaf.
And some fragrant lime leaf. You may know of it as kaffir lime leaf. The same lime leaf we use in Thai cooking so much. Now there's another interesting ingredient to go into this to help finish it off. And this is coconut that has been grated and then fried in a dry pan over intense heat until it caramelizes. Coconut has quite a bit of natural sugar to it, so it'll quickly take on a lovely brown color. When the coconut is caramelized, it's cooled and then ground into a fine puree. And that's what we have right here in this dish. So without giving the sweetness of a nice dark coconut sugar, it's going to give the color and also a rich background note and certainly consistency to the sauce. One of the ways of describing a rendang is as a dry dish, a dish where the sauce coats the meat and sticks to it. Careful salting. An experienced hand. And what would you serve this with? Some plain rice or any special kind of other rice?
You can serve it with plain rice, biryani rice, or tomato rice, or you can serve it with like a net bread.
Sorry, what's that? Oh, right, okay, interesting. So, plain rice, tomato rice, biryani style rice, and a classic presentation would be with an egg net covering.
Yeah.
How nice. I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes.
It's ready.
And now the rendang is ready to serve. Again, traditional rendang is made with beef. We've made it with chicken today. It doesn't take as long, and I'm sure it's a wonderful variation on the theme. So now, as a wonderful way of completing our rendang presentation, we're going to prepare a net bread. Okay, that'll serve as a lovely garnish with our rendang. So how do we prepare this? Some very fine wheat flour. perhaps we might want to use flour at home.
You can use multi-purpose flour.
Multi-purpose is okay. Well, that's great to know.
And light coconut milk.
Okay, the light one. Second or third pressing?
The second one.
Second pressing.
Go inside.
That looked almost like equal quantities.
700 gram and 8 cup of light coconut milk.
Okay, 100 grams of flour, 8 cups of light coconut milk. But we're making quite a lot of this bread here. And a solid tablespoon, 2 tablespoons of turmeric. Well, let's add a bit more too. 2 tablespoons, 2 teaspoons. Salt. 1 tablespoon. And sugar. Almost 3 tablespoons. One egg. And a whisk. I'll just stand back a bit here so I don't get hit by anything. It's like a very thick pancake batter or a cake batter at this point.
Put a little bit of water so it could become soft.
Okay, correcting the consistency of the batter with some water. Better to start thick and then loosen it, right?
Yeah.
And the consistency is that of lightly whipped cream. So not fully whipped, but it's got a nice pouring consistency, not unlike a thin pancake batter. Okay, so you'll put it again in the food processor and blend it. Okay, well, the last step now here in making that net bread is to use this special funnel that I spoke about earlier and work in a circular motion. Now you can see why the consistency of the batter is so important. If it's not just right, it won't flow through the holes of the funnel. Test the edges to see where the batter is cooking and therefore drying. There we go, and in a moment you can pick up an edge. Look at that. Thinner than any crepe. Then carefully rolled. Now here you can see our finished chicken rendang, beautifully garnished, and beside it the accompanying net bread. Of course, if you wanted to, you could always eat from a plate with a spoon and a fork. That's the traditional and polite way to eat. But even more traditional and even more appropriate, I think, with a lovely bread like this, is to take off a piece and pick up some of the rendang with your fingers. And you enjoy it like this. Mind you, work only with your right hand. Good? Reduan's commitment to tradition, his way of cooking the food in the manner that his grandparents did, really inspires me to look deeper into Malay cuisine. And I thought today we'd do a nice sambal fish. Now, sambal fish is a nice shallow fried fish with a lovely sauce redolent of chilies and herbs poured over the top. So now, here in front of me, I have a pomfret. Now, pomfret is a lovely fish. It's very popular throughout Southeast Asia, but you don't need to get a fish like this. Just focus on one that's not too large, not too thick. You can cook it with the head on or off. That's really up to you. The best thing to do is to go to the fishmonger, ideally an Asian one, and say you want a small fish for frying, and please cut 3 gashes in the side of the fish on the diagonal so it'll be ready for frying. They'll know exactly what you mean. From there, you bring the fish home and then you pat it dry with paper towel and allow it to air dry for a few moments like we've done here. Make sure it's dry because the next step is shallow frying the fish. When the fish is done, you'll be keeping it warm in the oven while we complete the sauce. I've preheated my oil. I'm just going to regulate the heat here to make sure that we have consistent heat throughout the shallow frying process. Pick up the fish and carefully lower it into the oil with the fish going away from you or to the side of you like this. That way, if you should drop the fish by accident or if it slips out of your hand, the resulting splash of oil won't come directly at you. It's always safety first in the kitchen. Now, we're going to take a little bit of the oil and we're going to baste the fish as it cooks. My oil isn't too ferociously hot, and that's so that when we're cooking the fish, there won't be too much spattering and it won't be too dangerous. We're going to cook the fish on both sides, and when it's done, when it's nice and brown and crispy, you're going to take it out of the oil and allow it to drain. Here's a good idea. Place it on a stack of paper towels and allow the oil to seep out that way. That's the best way to remove all the excess oil. Time now to turn the fish over. Work carefully. A pair of tongs will work great for this process. There we have it. That was easy. We'll turn the heat up just a notch. Always look at how your heat is going. Electric woks are great for this because they have a heat control right on them. You want to be cooking at about 350 to about 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Remember to keep basting occasionally as the fish cooks. In a moment, the fish will be fully cooked, and then we can have a look at how the wonderful sambal sauce will be made to pour over this delicious crispy fish. Day 21. I've been to Southeast Asia several times, but this is my first trip to what the British used to refer to as Malaya. On the northwest side of the Malay Peninsula near the border with Thailand lies a large island known as Penang. It's here in the capital of Georgetown where these pigeons have come home to roost and be fed on a regular basis by the devotees of the island's main Hindu temple. Unlike Thailand, where religious devotion is omnipresent, you really have to seek it out here. It seems the further south you go in Asia, religious custom becomes less and less apparent. Perhaps that's due to the old British predominance from a century ago. You can see more statues proclaiming the longevity of Queen Victoria than temples or shrines. Such was the reach of the old British Empire. Okay, now let's make a sauce for the wonderful fish. As you can see, I've taken it out of the pan. I'm leaving it to drip. Let's pretend that it's in a warm oven, keeping hot, shall we? Tamarind water is an important ingredient in traditional Southeast Asian cookery, especially Malay. And I have here in front of us a nice block of tamarind paste. What you're looking for is tamarind paste that is quite soft. Here's what it looks like out of the package. Now I'm going to break off a piece, something a little bit smaller than a large egg, and I'm going to put it in the bowl here and add some hot water. From there, work it with your fingers. Break it up. I've got both hands in the dish. Don't be shy at this point. Break it up. And when it's all broken up and mixed around, you'll see the water changes color. And what you have there now is tamarind water. From there, simply strain it away and throw out the pulp and the seeds. You won't need that anymore at all. Okay, here we are. I could probably work this for a moment longer, but right now already we've got a good strong tamarind water, so that's fine. I'll just wipe off my hands, clean them up, and we'll strain this right away. Here we are. Tamarind water. It's no more complicated than that. As I said before, the pulp can be thrown out. We've got that ready. Now, we're talking about sambal fish, so let's make a sambal to go along with that. I'm going to take some coarse salt and put it in my mortar and pestle. If you want to use a small food processor or another kind of grinder, you won't need the salt. Here goes some red chili, just like the ones I have up front here, and some green chili, just like this one right over here to the side, into the mortar and pestle. And along with that, we're going to use some ginger, some shallot onion, and here's what a shallot onion looks like. Here's a lovely kind. There's another one that's a little bit pointier, but look at the lovely brown skin. and the flesh has little purple flecks on the outside, so you'll know which one you're working with. The last ingredient will be some fresh garlic. Let's pound the chilies. You can make this coarse or fine, whatever you like. And when you're pounding chilies, please remember to cover the mortar and pestle with your hand so that you don't get any chilies in your eyes by accident, because they'll jump. Beautiful for a start. In goes the ginger, shallot onion, the garlic, and we'll continue to pound. Now, maybe you're worried about getting a mortar and pestle and pounding away and your neighbors will get annoyed. Certainly if somebody lives below you, that could be the case. Why not try placing a couple of cloths or a nice rag underneath the mortar and pestle as you're pounding? That'll deaden the sound for sure. Like I said before, you can keep pounding this until it's very fine, or you can leave it coarse and rustic. Particularly with this dish, I like coarse and rustic because you get beautiful flecks of red and green chili in the sauce, and that looks dynamic. Let's not waste any. Now, we need to cook our sambal paste, and what we're going to do is fry it in a little bit of the oil left over from the shallow frying the fish. I've left about 3 tablespoons in here, and I'm going to turn on the pan. Get the fire going, get that oil nice and hot, and while it's heating up, I'm going to scoop out the sambal ingredients, and look, there's quite a bit there. This forms a lovely base to the sauce. Just put it on the side there, and get the rest of it in there. Let's not leave too much behind. The oil is the right temperature now. Let's work with our heat. You don't really need to fry it brown at this point. All you want to do is capture all the delicious flavors in the oil that you're sauteing or frying the seasoning paste in. Next, we'll add some coconut milk. This is first extraction or rich coconut milk. We'll add that in, about a cup. Simply take a can of coconut milk if you like, and shake it up and then measure a cup out of that. That'll be the right richness of coconut milk that you want to use. Well, next ingredients will be some lime juice, about 3 tablespoons full, 1 tablespoon of fish sauce, and then a really interesting ingredient. I'll add it in and I'll show you what it is. This is palm sugar, dark brown, rich, molasses-like palm sugar. And if you can't find any in the Asian stores in your neighborhood, why not try substituting some demerara sugar? Here's what the package looks like for the one that I use. There's lots of different brands out there. This one here is labeled Gula Jawa. Now, this is the Indonesian name. Gula Melaka is the Malaysian name, but what you need to know is it's dark palm sugar. And I think that a great substitute for dark palm sugar would be demerara sugar. Let's not forget our tamarind water, and we're going to want to add a couple of tablespoons of that as well. Now, smells very, very good. Let's just take a little taste, shall we? Dip your finger, gently, just touch the surface. Oh, it's coming along beautifully. Let's balance it by adding a little more sugar. We'll add a pinch of just plain white sugar at this point, and we'll increase the heat. We want this to reduce until it's nice and thick. That won't take long at all. Look at how it evaporates against the side of the wok. That's nice and hot. Okay. Let's leave this so it won't burn. And let's get our fish onto a platter so we can serve it up. Come over here. You'll have to pick it up with some tongs, it'll be so hot. And let's turn off the heat on our sauce. Look at that boiling, lovely hot sauce. And over the deep fried fish. Isn't that beautiful? This is a showstopper, guaranteed to make you famous in your own home. There we have a beautiful sambal pomfret fish. Nice shallow fried fish with a delicious coconut tamarind sauce with lots of nice chilies, garlic, and ginger. So good. Understanding traditional techniques gives us more confidence in the kitchen. We'll have more great techniques coming up next time on Entree to Asia. I'm Thomas Robson.
To find out more about Entree to Asia, including recipes and program descriptions, visit our website at www.entreetoasia.com.